Jai Guruji. Anantam Shukrana Guru Maharaj for this beautiful divine satsang. Last week we read chapter 30 of Rudra Samhita Part 3. In this we read that Goddess Parvati requested Lord Shiva to accept him as his wife, and he granted her that boon and vanished from there. He went back to his abode on Kailasa, and then Narada requested Lord Brahma to narrate what happened to Parvati afterwards. To this Brahma told Lord Narada that Parvati decided that she, accompanied with her maids, she's going to return back to her father's home and uttering the word Lord Shiva, remembering Lord Shiva. So when she did that, Menaka and Himavat, they got to know about it and they were extremely delighted. They sat on the divine vehicle and along with their chief priest and the citizens and the maids and all the brothers of Parvati, they decided to go to the outskirts of the city to receive Parvati. Now when Parvati reached there, she bowed down in front of her parents, and all of them present there, including her parents, praised her for what she had done, and even the gods, they were in their aerial chariots, they were showering auspicious flowers on Parvati, and they bowed down in front of the goddess and eulogized her. Now when they all returned home, they all assembled in the courtyard, and Himavat went to Ganga to take bath. In the meantime, Shiva guised himself as a dancer and appeared in front of Menaka. Now when he started dancing and singing, he started singing sweet songs, and whoever listened to him, they were mesmerized and they were ecstatic to listen to this dancer. Now Mena was also very impressed. Meanwhile, Parvati, when she saw the dancer, she saw the handsome Lord there and she became unconscious, and mentally she requested Lord Shiva to be her husband. Lord Shiva, of course, was delighted and granted her the boon and vanished from there. But the beggar, he continued to dance, the dancer, and Mena was very impressed with this dancer, and she tried to give him some jewels and gem, but this dancer or beggar, he refused that thing, and he then requested Menaka to give Parvati's hand to him, and Mena was, of course, Mena or Menaka was furious, and she was furious and she wanted to drive him out. Now, of course, when Himavat came back, Mena told Himavat about the entire thing, and Himavat also wanted to drive this dancer out. Now, again, Himavat did try to do that, but none of the attendants were able to touch this dancer, who was Lord Shiva indeed, because he was very hot like blazing fire. Now, Shiva again wanted to show Himavat his endless power, so he, because of his Maya, showed Himavat firstly Brahma, then Vishnu, then Sun, then Shiva, Parvati, and then an endless form, which was, very splendorous form, brilliant form, which did not have any shape. So all these things confused Himavat, and then again, this beggar or dancer or Lord Shiva requested Himavat for Parvati's hand, but Himavat and Mena both refused because they were deluded by Shiva's Maya, and just then the dancer disappeared. So eventually Himavat and Mena realized that this was Lord Shiva, and they were deceived by the Lord, and he went back to his abode, and their devotion towards the Lord increased. Today we will be reading chapter 31, which is description of Shiva's magic. Aarti Aunty will be reading in English, and Rachna Aunty will be reading in Hindi. Jai Guruji.
Guruji ko natmastak, Shukrana for the seva. Today I will be reading chapter 31, Rudra Samhita. The name of the chapter is Description of Shiva's Magic. Brahma said, on knowing their undistracted great devotion to Shiva, O Narada, Indra, and other gods thought like this. The god said, if the mountain were to give his daughter to Shiva with single-minded devotion, he will attain salvation immediately and will disappear from Bharata. The mountain is the storehouse of endless gems. If he were to leave off the earth and go, the name of the earth, Ratnagarbha, which means having gems in the womb, shall be a misnomer. He will cast off his immobile aspect and assume a divine form. He will give his daughter to the trident-bearing deity and will go to Shiva's region. He will undoubtedly attain mergence into Lord Shiva. Having enjoyed pleasures there, he will attain salvation. Brahma said, thinking like this and consulting one another, they, in their bewilderment, decided to send God Brihaspati there. O Narada, then Indra and other gods went to Brihaspati's abode lovingly with humility in their eagerness to achieve their self-interest. Reaching there, all the gods, including Indra, bowed to Brihaspati and submitted every detail to him. The god said, O revered preceptor, please go to the abode of Himavat for the fulfillment of our task. After going there, you shall make disparaging remarks about the trident-bearing deity. Parvati will not marry any other person except Shiva. The mountain will derive the benefit only after some time if he gives the daughter in marriage without his full concurrence. Let the mountain stay on earth for the present. O preceptor, you shall make him stay on the earth as he is the support of many gems. Brahma said. On hearing these words of the gods, the preceptor of the gods plugged his ears with his hands. He did not accept the proposal of the gods. He remembered the name Shiva. Then remembering Lord Shiva, Brihaspati, of liberal mind, rebuked the gods again and said, Brihaspati said, all of you gods seem to be selfish in nature. You want to destroy others' interests? Indeed, I will go to hell by disparaging Shiva. O gods, one of you shall go to the mountain. Let him urge the Lord of mountains and achieve the desired object. Let him stay in Bharata after giving his daughter without willingness. It is certain he will attain salvation if he gives his daughter with devotion. Afterwards, the 7 celestial sages will properly persuade the mountain, except Pinaka-bearing deity, Parvati will not marry any other person. Or, O gods, all of you go to Brahma's region, taking Indra with you. Tell Brahma all the details. He will get your work done immediately. Brahma said. On hearing it and consulting amongst themselves, the gods came to my assembly. After duly bowing to me, they informed me about the details. On hearing the words of the gods about censuring Shiva, O sage, I, the reciter of the Vedas, spoke to them in an aggrieved tone. Dear children, I am incompetent to decree Shiva. It is unbearable. It destroys all riches. It is the seed of all adversities. O gods, all of you go to Kailash and propitiate Shiva. Make him go to Himavat's abode quickly. Let him approach the Lord of Mountains and make disparaging remarks about himself. Rebuking others is conducive to destruction. Rebuking oneself is conducive to fame. On hearing my words, all the gods joyously bowed to me and went to Kailasha, the chief of mountains. Going there and seeing Shiva, they bowed to him with bent heads and palms joined in reverence. The gods eulogized Shiva. The gods said, O great Lord, Lord of gods, O Shiva, the merciful, we seek refuge in you. Be sympathetic. Obeisance be to you. O Lord, you are favorably disposed to your devotees, always carrying out their tasks. You are the uplifter of the distressed and an ocean of mercy. You save us from all miseries and distresses. Brahma said, eulogizing Lord Shiva thus, Indra and other gods respectfully submitted all details. On hearing the words of the gods, Lord Shiva agreed to the proposal. He made gods return after assuring them smilingly. Hastening to their abodes, the gods rejoice, much considering their work fully fulfilled and praising Sadashiv. Then the Lord Shiva, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, the Lord of magic and free from aberrations, went to the Lord of mountains. When the Lord of mountains was seated in his royal assembly along with Parvati and kinsmen, Sadashiv came there, in the meantime bearing a staff and an umbrella. He was dressed in divine clothes and had a shining mark on his forehead. He was in the guise of a saintly Brahmin. He was repeating the name of Vishnu with devotion. He had the garland of crystal beads in his hand and the salagrama stone around his neck. On seeing that extraordinary guest, Himavat with his attendants stood up in reverence and prostrated before him with devotion. Parvati bowed with devotion to her dear lover in the guise of a Brahmin. On realizing him mentally, the goddess eulogized him with great joy. With great pleasure, Shiva bestowed his blessings on all. Oh dear, he bestowed on Parvati her cherished desire in addition. The Brahmin received with pleasure the articles of homage, etc., offered by Himavat, the Lord of Mountains. O sage, after duly worshipping the excellent Brahmin with pleasure, the mountain Himavat inquired of his welfare. Again, the Lord of Mountains asked him, "Who are you, please?" Immediately, the chief of Brahmins spoke to the Lord of Mountains thus. The chief of Brahmins said, O foremost amongst mountains, I am a Brahmin devotee of Vishnu and a great scholar. My occupation is that of a matchmaker. I roam about on the earth. I go where I wish, I go everywhere. By the power of my preceptor, I'm omniscient. I'm simple-minded, and by nature I help others, and I am sympathetic and quell aberrations. I have come to know that you desire to give your daughter to Shiva. This daughter so tender like lotus flower, of divinely excellent form and endowed with all accomplishments? To Shiva, who has no support, who is devoid of associations, who is deformed, who is without attributes, who resides in the cremation ground, who has the form of a snake catcher, who is a yogin, who is naked, who has deficient limbs, who wears snakes as his ornaments, whose name and pedigree are unknown, whose conduct is bad, who has no sport, whose body is smeared with ashes, who is furious, who lacks in discrimination, whose age is not known, whose hair is ill-worn, who supports all who roam about, who has garland of snakes, who is a mendicant, who is engaged in following wrong paths, and who tenaciously discards the Vedic path. O mountain, this inclination of yours is not at all conducive to the auspiciousness. O foremost amongst the wise, born of Narayana's family, learn sense. For the marriage of Parvati, he is not at all a deserving person. On hearing of this, the general public will smile in derision. O Lord of Mountains, see for yourself. He has not a single kinsman. You are the storehouse of great gems and jewels. He has no assets at all. O Lord of Mountains, you shall consult your kinsmen, sons, wife, and wife's counselors, except Parvati. O Lord of Mountains, the medicine does not appeal at all to the patient. Wrong diet that brings about great defects always appeals to him. Brahma said, saying this, The Brahmin stopped. He took food and left the place with the pleasure for his abode. Shiva is one who quietly indulges in his divine sports. With this, I conclude the reading for today. कोई भूल चूक हो गई हो संगत जी तो मैं क्षमा प्रार्थी हूँ. I would like to call upon Rachna auntie to read the same in Hindi. Jai Guruji.
जय गुरुजी. शुक्राना गुरुजी फॉर दिस ब्यूटीफुल सेवा. अध्याय 31. देवताओं के अनुरोध से वैष्णव ब्राह्मण के वेश में शिवजी का हिमवान के घर जाना और शिव की निंदा करके पार्वती का विवाह उनके साथ ना करने को कहना. ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, नारद, मेना और हिमवान की भगवान शिव के प्रति उच्च कोटि की अनन्य भक्ति देख इंद्र आदि सब देवता परस्पर विचार करने लगे. तदनंतर गुरु बृहस्पति और ब्रह्मा जी की सम्मति के अनुसार सभी मुख्य देवताओं ने शिवजी के पास जाकर उनको प्रणाम किया और वे हाथ जोड़कर उनकी स्तुति करने लगे. देवता बोले, देव देव महादेव, करुणाकर शंकर, हम आपकी शरण में आए हैं, कृपा कीजिए. आपको नमस्कार है स्वामिन. आप भक्त सत्पल होने के कारण सदा भक्तों के कार्य सिद्ध करते हैं, दीनों का उद्धार करने वाले और दया के सिंधु हैं तथा भक्तों को विपत्तियों से छुड़ाने वाले हैं. इस प्रकार महेश्वर की स्तुति करके इंद्र सहित संपूर्ण देवताओं ने मेना और हिमवान की अनन्य शिव भक्ति के विषय में सारी बातें आदर पूर्वक बताईं. देवताओं की यह बात सुनकर महेश्वर ने उनकी प्रार्थना स्वीकार कर ली और हंसते हुए उन्हें आश्वासन देकर विदा कर दिया. तब सब देवता अपना कार्य सिद्ध हुआ मानकर भगवान सदाशिव की प्रशंसा करते हुए शीघ्र अपने घर को लौटकर प्रसन्नता का अनुभव करने लगे. तदनंतर भक्त वत्सल महेश्वर भगवान शंभु, जो माया के स्वामी हैं, निर्विकार वित्त से शैलराज के यहाँ गए. उस समय गिरिराज हिमवान सभा भवन में बंधु वर्ग से घिरे हुए पार्वती सहित प्रसन्नता पूर्वक बैठे थे. इसी अवसर पर वहां सदाशिव ने पदार्पण किया. वह हाथ में दंड, छत्र, शरीर पर दिव्य वस्त्र, ललाट में उज्जवल तिलक, एक हाथ में स्फटिक की माला और गले में शालिग्राम धारण किए भक्ति पूर्वक हरि नाम का जाप कर रहे थे और देखने में साधु वेशधारी ब्राह्मण ज्ञान पढ़ते थे. उन्हें आया देख सपरिवार हिमवान उठकर खड़े हो गए. उन्होंने उन अपूर्व अतिथि देवताओं को भूतल पर दंड के समान पड़कर भक्ति भाव से साष्टांग प्रणाम किया. देवी पार्वती ब्राह्मण रूपधारी प्राणेश्वर शिव को पहचान गई थी, अतः उन्होंने भी उनको मस्तक झुकाया और मन ही मन बड़ी प्रसन्नता के साथ उनकी स्तुति की. ब्राह्मण रूपधारी शिव ने उन सबको प्रेम पूर्वक आशीर्वाद दिया, किंतु शिवा को सबसे अधिक मनोवांछित शुभाशीर्वाद प्रदान किया. शैलाधिराज हिमवान ने बड़े आदर से उन्हें मधुपर्क आदि पूजन सामग्री भेंट की और ब्राह्मण ने बड़ी प्रसन्नता के साथ वह सब ग्रहण किया. तत्पश्चात गिरिश्रेष्ठ हिमाचल ने उनका कुशल समाचार पूछा. मुने अत्यंत प्रीतिपूर्वक उन द्विजराज की विधिवत पूजा करके शैलराज ने पूछा, आप कौन हैं? तब उन ब्राह्मण शिरोमणि ने गिरिराज से शीघ्र ही आदर पूर्वक कहा. वे श्रेष्ठ ब्राह्मण बोले, गिरिश्रेष्ठ, मैं उत्तम विद्वान वैष्णव ब्राह्मण हूँ और ज्योतिषी की वृत्ति का आश्रय लेकर भूतल पर भ्रमण करता हूँ. मन के समान मेरी गति है. मैं सर्वत्र जाने में समर्थ और गुरु की दी हुई शक्ति से सर्वज्ञ, परोपकारी, शुद्धात्मा, दया सिंधु और विकार नाशक हूँ. मुझे ज्ञात हुआ है कि तुम अपनी इस लक्ष्मी सरीखी सुंदर रूप वाली दिव्य सुलक्षणा अपनी पुत्री को एक आश्रय रहित, असंग, कुरूप और गुणहीन वर महादेव जी के हाथ में देना चाहते हो. वे रुद्र देवता मरघट में वास करते, शरीर में सांप लपेटे रहते और योग साधते फिरते हैं. उनके पास पहनने के लिए एक वस्त्र भी नहीं, वैसे ही नंग धड़ंग घूमते हैं. आभूषण की जगह सर्प धारण करते हैं उनके कुल का नाम आज तक किसी को ज्ञात नहीं हुआ। वे कुपात्र और कुशील हैं, संभवतः विहार से दूर रहते हैं, सारे शरीर में भस्म रमाते हैं, क्रोधी और अविवेकी हैं। उनकी अवस्था कितनी है ये किसी को ज्ञात नहीं। वे अत्यंत कुत्सित जटा का बोझ सदा सर पर धारण किए रहते हैं। वे भले बुरे सबको आश्रय देने वाले, भ्रमणशील, नागहारधारी, भिक्षुक, कुमार्ग परायण तथा हठ पूर्वक वैदिक मार्ग का त्याग करने वाले हैं। ऐसे अयोग्य वर को आप अपनी बेटी ब्याहना चाहते हैं? अचल राज, अवश्य ही आपका यह विचार मंगलदायक नहीं है। नारायण कुल में उत्पन्न ज्ञानियों में श्रेष्ठ गिरिराज, मेरे कथन का मर्म समझो। तुमने जिस पात्र को ढूंढ रखा है वह इस योग्य नहीं कि उसके हाथ में पार्वती जी का हाथ दिया जाए। शैलराज, तुम ही देखो, उनके एक भी भाई बंधु नहीं हैं। तुम तो बड़े बड़े रत्नों की खान हो, किंतु उनके घर में पूंजी भांग भी नहीं है। वे सर्वथा निर्धन हैं। गिरिराज, तुम शीघ्र ही अपने भाई बंधुओं से, मैना देवी से, सभी बेटों से और पंडितों से प्रत्यन्न पूर्वक पूछ लो, किंतु पार्वती जी से ना पूछना, क्योंकि उन्हें शिव के गुण दोष की परख नहीं। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, नारद, ऐसा कहकर ये ब्राह्मण देवता जो नाना प्रकार की लीला करने वाले शांत स्वरूप शिव ही थे, शीघ्र खा पीकर आनंद पूर्वक वहां से अपने घर को चल दिए। अध्याय 31 समाप्त। भूल चूक माफ संगत जी। जय गुरु जी। शुक्राना गुरु जी।